Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elle, and today we're going to be doing a bad boy romance recommendation video. So I've been seeing a couple creators do like a red flag hero, like a hero that has all of the red flags video, and then I was like, oh well, maybe I should do like a bad boy romance recommendation video, just the baddest boy heroes that I love, and everyone loves a good bad boy. So I'm very excited for this video, and I have some favorites on here, so let's get right into it. The first book I'm going to talk about is Haunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton. So this one's a really fun romance. It is a dark stalker romance, and it's basically about the heroine falling for a stalker. So the heroine has been noticing some creepy things happening because she's been staying in her grandmother's like manor slash estate, and she's been noticing, like, feeling like somebody's been watching her. She's also an author, and at like book events she feels like somebody's watching her, and so she'll bring back like guys back to the house and will, you know, do stuff with them, and then the next day the guys will disappear until she meets the hero and realizes that he has been stalking her, and it's really good. The first book is kind of a little bit slower. It really just gets into their relationship, but then the second book really takes off, and it's so fun. I listened to the audiobook of both of these books, and it was incredible. I just loved the audiobook narrators, and it just felt very spooky and fun, and the hero is just like so possessive over the heroine. His job is literally killing people. He helps people get out of human trafficking, and so he will like kill the human traffickers, and it is on page, and he will do anything for the heroine, and I love that. It's just such a good book. I really enjoyed this series. Even though it's very hyped up, I do recommend the audiobook. That I think made the biggest difference for me. But if you want like a stalker hero that will kill anyone that goes near the heroine, pick up this book. And I have The Words by Ashley Jade. So this is a rock star second chance romance. So our hero and heroine meet in high school. It's kind of like opposites attracts. Like the hero needed help with like a test or something to graduate high school, and the heroine was like, okay, I'll help you. And he's kind of known as being like a bad boy at school and just being kind of a bully sometimes, just very isolated, does his own thing. And so she starts helping him, and they kind of start up a friendship that blooms into a romance. And he is also trying to become, like, he has a band, he's trying to become like a rock star, and so something happens where he really betrays the heroine, and now it is years later, and he's a huge rock star in like the biggest rock band in the world, and he needs a sober companion. Every single person he's had before, he's either slept with or like got them to leave somehow by making their life miserable. And so the heroine is asked to be his new sober companion, and she's like, I don't want to, like, I hate that guy. And they're like, well, it's a lot of money and you won't fall for him, right? And she's like, right. And so she agrees to it, and she starts working with him, and she realizes like, oh my gosh, like I still have feelings for him. It's very complicated, very angsty. He really tries to push her away. It's just so good. I really love this romance. He is just a bad boy. Like, he has tattoos. He kind of doesn't give a like F about anything, and I just love this book. I read it in like 2 days. It was just incredible. If you want a really good rock star romance, pick up this book. Then I have Manacled by Sin Liu. I don't know how to say the author's name, but this book was amazing. I read it in July/June, and I loved it. It was so good. This is a Draco and Hermione fan fiction, and it basically starts off with after the war, like the big war of Voldemort and like Harry Potter doesn't survive the war. He ends up being killed, and so now it's in a world where Voldemort is like the leader of the magical world, and he is starting up this like breeding thing where it's kind of like The Handmaid's Tale, where muggles or like people who are non-magic or like women will be given to the high reeve couples and stuff. And so Hermione is basically given to Draco to be breeded to have a child, and she also is holding a huge secret, but she can't remember anything. Like, her memories aren't she can't remember anything, and so they think that by her having like a baby, she'll like remember all of her memories, and then they can get information out of her. And that's all I'm gonna say, because I don't want to say too much because it'll be massive spoilers. But I love this book. It was so good. Draco, he just like, I just love him. I just love him, and he is just so tortured because of his past and because of like, he wants to be with Hermione, but he has obligations, and it's so good. I love this book. Definitely go pick it up, even though it's super long. You won't regret it, and you don't need to know a lot about Harry Potter to understand this world. It's very easy, and the author really explains everything really well. I just love this book, and Draco is one of my favorite heroes ever now. He's just I just love him. Alright, so the next book I'm going to talk about is There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. This is another like stalker slash like murdery romance. So our heroine is an artist, and she she basically goes to this art show, and this guy sees her and basically like kidnaps her and leaves her in like an alley, like beaten up, and is like, I'm gonna kill you, basically. And so this is when the hero comes in. The hero is actually rivals with the guy that like kidnapped her and stuff. And because the hero like looked at the heroine randomly in the art show, the rival guy was like, oh my gosh, like, I found something that's valuable to you, and I'm gonna take her and all this stuff. And so the hero basically helps the heroine, and the hero is a famous artist, but he is secretly also like a serial killer. And so he's like, once he finds out that that guy was trying to hurt the heroine, he's like, I gotta protect her. And so he kind of starts like stalking her, and she is not making a lot of money like, she is in the beginning of her like artist career, and so he will like help her out. Like, he has a huge studio and all this stuff. But the thing that I love about this romance is that they're trying to like figure out who is doing these murders. There's these murders that are happening that the hero's not a part of. It's very dark, and he becomes very possessive over the heroine. He is a serial killer, so I just love this book. It was so good. I love Sophie Lark, and this is also a duet that kind of leaves off on a cliffhanger, but I really liked it. He's also like a billionaire because of his art, and it was just a really fun romance, and I really loved all of the darker aspects of this book. Next book I have to mention is my favorite bad boy, which is Dean from The Bully by Sophie Lark. I love Dean. He was inspired by Draco Malfoy, and I just love that. And this is a bully romance, so this is a part of her Kingmaker series. This is a mafia like romance world where all of these children in the mafia will go to this university to learn about becoming like members of the mafia, like if they're going to be an enforcer or a capo or like the leader of their mafia in like, you know, their country or wherever they are. And so the heroine Kat is a spy, and the hero Dean, he is going to be like the leader, I think, of his like mafia. And so he basically sees Kat do something in the book before, which is a big no-no, and he like figures out like, well, I can hold this over her head. And so he basically uses this information to bully her into doing whatever he wants, and that could be sexually or just like anything he wants. And it is so good. He just becomes obsessed with Kat. Like, if you read the first book, The Heir, you saw how obsessive he could be. And he just becomes obsessed with Kat, and it's just like, I need to be with you at all times. Like, I like need you. And he will like he will take down anybody that messes with her. And I love Dean. He is just, I just love him. He is one of my favorite bad boys, and He goes through a lot of character growth in this book, and I just love him so much. Definitely go check this series out. I absolutely adore this series. The next book I have is Stolen Heir by Sophie Lark. So a lot of Sophie Lark, but it makes sense. She writes really good romances with bad boys. So this one is another mafia romance, and so our hero is a part of the Polish mafia, and he basically kidnaps the daughter of a very famous mafia in Chicago, and he kidnaps her and takes her back to like his manor, and it is a mafia like kidnap romance, like captor captive, and she basically starts falling for him, and he is like made all these deals with her family, like, I'll give her back to you if you do this, and of course they do what he says, and he is like, well, I don't want to let her go yet, so he sets up these like fake things where he'll almost give her back to them but doesn't, and I just loved him. He has a very traumatized past, and that's why he's like in the mafia, and I just love how like obsessed he was with the heroin, and he is part of the mafia, so there's lots of like mafia things going on in this book, but I loved him, and I highly recommend this book in this series. And I have Knotted by Pam Godwin. This is one of my favorite books from Pam Godwin. This is a dark cowboy romance with like Yellowstone vibes, if you've ever seen Yellowstone. So our hero and our heroine and the heroine's brother, they all live like on this like ranch, and each like their families both have these ranches like next to each other, and so one night they decide to go into the woods for like a trail ride or something, and they get brutally attacked, and so the heroine basically leaves with her dad for a number of years and doesn't see the hero, and now she is like back in town and she sees the hero, and he is like, I want you back, like we need to be together, and she dealt with like a lot of trauma from what happened that night, and so it's kind of them reconnecting but also trying to figure out what's going on with their like his dad, because there's some suspicious things going on. This is a dark romance, and I just love this one. I loved how the hero pushed the heroine, like she had a lot of you know, things from her past that she needed to work through, and he would push her to the point of almost like too much, but then he knew how to like not push her too much, and I just love this book. I'm not explaining it the best right now, but it is so good. Like if you watch Yellowstone, you know those vibes, and he's very possessive over her, and it's like nobody will touch her but me, and I just love it. It's just so good. Then I have The Hunter by Kerrigan Byrne, a historical romance, and I love this book so much. So the hero is like an assassin, and he's basically tasked with assassinating the heroine, and so when he's about to like kill her, he's like, wait, like you're really hot and good looking, and I don't want to do that yet, so I'm going to bribe you for some like sexual like favors, and I won't kill you. But then he starts kind of catching feelings for her, and the heroine is an opera singer, and this book had a lot of action, and he basically falls in love with her and is like, crap, like I now have to figure out who is trying to kill her, and so they have to go on this huge like action-packed adventure to figure out why she had a hit out on her, and she also has a son, so she's a single mom, and I just love this book. The hero is just so like obsessed and possessive with the heroine. He also has like a tortured past, and I just love this romance and how he did like a full 180, like he was like, you know, going to kill her, and then he doesn't because he's like, oh, I really like you, and I just love those types of romances. This one was so good. I listened to the audio of it, highly recommend that. Definitely go pick this up. The last book I'm going to talk about is Kill Switch by Penelope Douglas. This book is incredible. Damon is like the ultimate bad boy, and I just love him so much. I need to do a read of this book, but basically Damon has kind of been the villain of the whole series. He's done some really bad stuff, and that's kind of because of his past. A lot of these heroes that I'm talking about have a really tortured past, but Damon definitely takes a cake on that, and I just love him so much. So Damon and Winter, who is a heroine, have a past. She basically had an accident that Damon kind of was the cause of where she became blind. And so now it's years later and they're in high school and he sees her again and he's like, oh, like I really like her. And so they kind of start hanging out and he kind of bullies her. And that kind of starts up like a little bit of a romance, and that leads to into why like the whole series revolves around this Devil's Night where 3 of them basically went to jail. And so they show like the past of what happened to Damon for doing like going to jail basically. And so then it kind of flips between like the past and the present, and now the present time is when he sees her again and he is like, oh, like Winter's back in town, like he kind of reconnects with her, and it's just so good. I love how like at first he was gonna, you know, bully her but like kind of take care of her, but then he is just like, we have such a strong connection with each other, and he tries to like bully her because she knows that like he knows that she likes him and wants to be with him, and he kind of takes advantage of that and will make her do like stuff for him. And I just love this book. It was so good. I love the representation of the heroine being blind, and he never ever uses that against her. And I just love this book, and Damon just works through a lot of character development in this book, and it's just amazing. Highly recommend. I love Damon so much, and I love Winter. But that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about my favorite bad boys. Definitely down below let me know your favorite bad boys, because I would love to know. But that's it for me today, guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.